Welcome to our Backyard Brothers podcast. We are down one member today. Last week we were down Yancey. This week we're down Dustin. So life happens. So Dustin's traveling for work, and so we'll miss him. We're not talking about basketball today. He's our resident basketball expert. We are all in on football today. So we'll return to basketball probably in 2 weeks. Next week will probably be all NFL, but 2 weeks we'll return to basketball to get our last two divisions out of the review. But today we're talking NFL and college football. Uh, as some of you may know, college football has officially started already with a few games on Saturday, a couple games tonight, and then a big slate of stuff on Saturday this week ahead. And so, really looking forward to football being back in that way. And NFL is starting a week from tonight. Is when the NFL season begins. So we're going to get out one more division today and a couple divisions next week and see where we are there. So we're going to jump into NFL first, and then we'll talk college football. Today we're talking AFC South. We've done half of the divisions of the NFL so far. We've talked AFC and NFC East and AFC NFC North. I'm going to remember how to share my screen here. Not that one, although you're seeing it anyway. Where did it go? Here it is. I'm bringing this up because Yancey, I forgot to do this 2 weeks ago. And so last week Cody and Dustin filled in theirs, and we're waiting for Yancey, your AFC North predictions
Oh, okay. Sorry
of who
about that.
finishes where.
Um, I think I agree with Scott and Dustin all the way. You can actually just copy and paste that. It's kind
Okay.
of a toss up between the Bengals and the Steelers, I think.
Yeah.
I think we
Well,
all felt that way. Yeah.
I went the other way just to be different. So,
Good for you, Cody. I support that.
And then, as well as this one, we did this last week, but Yancey, you weren't here, so pick the NFC North as well.
This is rough. Put the Packers above the Lions, and then keep keep the Vikings above the Bears.
Okay. This is the first time so far that we have a difference in the number one, the winner of a division. The previous three times, we all picked the Bills to win the AFC East. We all picked the Eagles to win the NFC East. We all picked the Ravens to win the AFC North. So that naturally leads to a question, Yancey. Why are you the different one here that picks the Packers to win the NFC North over the Lions?
I don't see the Lions' success carrying over the way that I think everybody else does. I just don't. I think that they had kind of their big moment, and then they're not going to be able to build on that momentum. It's gonna we're gonna see them drop again, in my opinion.
so it
And
has nothing to do with the monster trade that just happened.
who's that?
Michael Parsons just went from the Cowboys to the Packers.
I promise you, I didn't know that, and so no, it had nothing to do with that. I think the Packers are going to be a slightly better team, but that information helps me feel more cocky about my pick, for sure.
Yeah. Uh, I was saying last week that uh, this is one of the toughest divisions in football. I can see a scenario existing where all four of these teams are fighting for a playoff berth at the end of the season. So um,
I
it's
don't
a
see
really
the
tough division.
Bears. I think the Bears belong there in the bottom.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone's finishing last, someone's finishing first. I'm saying that there may not be a whole lot of games between number one and number four. A whole lot of wins. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing a different screen. This one. This is the Houston Texans. Starting in the AFC South alphabetically begins with the Houston Texans. You can see their roster here. This is how we're going to attack it today. Seeing the different quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, offense, defense, kind of stuff. I also have a screen that shows the NFL draft, what they were able to do. I can call that out without necessarily moving over there, unless we definitely want to. But remember, this is a team in Houston that has won this division 2 years in a row. They've won the AFC South in 2023 with C.J. Stroud's first year, as well as the head coach D'Amico Ryan's first year, and then they won it again last year. That hasn't led to much playoff success, but they did win this division 2 years in a row. C.J. Stroud returns. He had a tough year last year. Um, and I'm taking the Texans. So, Yancey, you're on the Colts next, and you can call out whatever you want. Obviously, this is a little bit different. We're not showing a presentation this time, so you call out some things that you see. The big one for the Texans is that they've really tried to hone in on their run game. They signed Nick Chubb, the former Browns running back over there. Obviously, he had that devastating injury a couple of seasons ago. He wasn't the same last year. Who knows if he can return to that same level of play? If he can, the Texans got a steal, as they paid him veterans minimum there. And so it's just a question if he can do that. They got two guys in the draft at wide receiver. Jaden Higgins was their first overall pick, or their first pick of the draft, and Jalen Noel is another rookie wide receiver they took. Coincidentally, both played at Iowa State. They got two Iowa State receivers in the draft, and so those two guys, you can see what happened in the playoffs with the Texans last year. You had Nico Collins and literally nobody else to throw to for C.J. Stroud, and so that's why they went to the draft and got two different receivers. You still have Tank Dell, who's going to be out all of this season because of that horrible knee injury that he had at the end of last year. So they needed to do that. Defensively, I think the Texans are really set up well, especially on that defensive line. You look at that defensive line that's here. Will Anderson is already becoming one of the best defensive ends in football. This is his third season. Danielle Hunter on the other side, that's a combination no one wants to see. No quarterback wants to see. Having Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter coming off those ends. Linebackers with Aziz Al-Shaair and Christian Harris, Henry To'oTo'o, and defensive backs there with Jalen Petrie, Derek Stingley, who has quickly become maybe the best cornerback in the NFL. Derek Stingley there. This defense, you can talk about the offense all you want. This defense is legitimately good in Houston and what they can do. So I'll hand it over to you guys if you want to talk about what you see from the Texans this year, what you expect from them. This is a very weak division, AFC South, and so Houston might be set up to win this division again just by default.
Yeah, I was actually gonna point out the defensive backs there, and you kind of started doing that. I don't want to leave out C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He is also really good. They
Yeah.
got three in that DB room, and I'm not saying the others aren't good. You know, they can be reliable, but those three stick out to me, big time. And so, and like you said, I mean, in every position group on the defense, you can point out at least one or two stars, not just good players, but stars, and that is impressive on a roster, let alone just defense. And I think that you can probably do the same with most positions on offense. So this is a good team. We'll see what they can do if they get to the postseason.
Yeah, I expect to see the Texans in the playoffs likely. C.J. Stroud, I don't. It felt like the year before last he had a great season, and then he kind of fell off a little bit,
Yeah.
especially with the injuries that happened after that. He didn't look quite as confident. Um, as much as I would love to see Chubb make a comeback from that injury, my my brain tells me that's not happening. I'd love to see that happen, but after watching it happen to him, I don't know, man. That takes a lot out of your legs, and those are really important to running the ball. And so I want to see them have success, but I don't think that this is going to be necessarily the same caliber of talent team that we thought because CJ Stroud stepped down a little bit last year, and I think that's going to continue. And the hype behind Chubb is just that, just hype. I don't think he's going to be able to perform to the level that people expect him to. But they do have an incredible
The
defense
one
that
thing,
can create turnovers.
right? One thing I will call out as a problem area is that offensive line. It was
Right.
horrible last year. It was one of the worst in the NFL. Uh, what they did in free agency, you know, I wouldn't call it really that phenomenal. What they went out and did, they grabbed Lakin Tomlinson at left guard from Seattle, but he's been good before. He wasn't good last year in Seattle, but he's been good in the NFL before. Uh, and so I just don't see a whole lot of improvement there on that offensive line, and that's the one problem area that could really uh, that's what caused CJ Stroud to have a much worse season last year. Is that offensive line was awful, and it didn't get to much better in my opinion.
Right. And I think that that's going to shine on the rest of their what would be otherwise star offensive players because the offensive line isn't able to protect them. But the defense, I think, will have another great year.
Yeah. Okay. You're gonna see me switch gears here and search the Indianapolis Colts next. Do you want to take the lead in discussing this, even though it's a little bit different, or do you want me to continue talking about this team? It would be your turn, Yancey, if you want. Uh, Either way is fine with me.
If you want to run through it, that's fine. With this setup, I'm not I'm not book smart enough to read all these names real fast and make my thoughts. But if you do it, I can pick out the
Sure.
guys that I like.
Okay, uh, I can do that. Obviously, the big story in Indy is the quarterback situation that's going on right now. Anthony Richardson was the quarterback. He was the fourth overall pick 2 years ago, uh, and he's already been benched before the season began. Daniel Jones has been named the starter, and honestly, I expected this from the beginning when they signed Daniel Jones in the offseason. I really did. He's a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson is. Anthony Richardson may have a better ceiling, have a higher ceiling, but Daniel Jones has shown that he can play better than Anthony Richardson has shown at any point in his career. So I actually like that change. I'm interested to hear from you guys uh, if you disagree with that, but I actually like that change. Um, Obviously, Jonathan Taylor at running back is a really good player. They have some good wide receivers: Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, Alec Pierce. I mean, those are really good guys to throw to. They drafted Tyler Warren with their first pick, and I think it was really funny watching the NFL draft because I think they took all of like what was it 4 seconds to get in their pick when Tyler Warren was still on the board, and so uh, he's the Penn State tight end that was overwhelmingly number one tight end, even though someone Colston Loveland was taken first by the Bears, and so they improved that tight end position. And defense is pretty strong too. DeForest Buckner at defensive tackle, Kwity Paye, uh, and the back end. They grabbed Xavier Howard. I don't know how good he is anymore. He was an All Pro with Miami for a few years, but he's way past his prime. Kenny Moore is probably one of the best slot corners in the NFL. Um, Obviously, this defense is not as good as Houston's, but I specifically talking about the offense, I think Daniel Jones is coming into a situation in Indianapolis here where he has the best group of players around him that he's ever had because New York was awful. the entire time he was there. And so I would expect Daniel Jones to actually play well in this offense.
I don't
You can go
know.
next, Jansen.
I don't know that I support the look. Anthony Richardson has just done so many stupid things that it's easy to think he's not a good quarterback. He's very athletic. He's made some really good plays, but then I think if you weigh him, he's done so many awful decisions, like as far as passing the ball and where to put it. And as athletic as he is, Indianapolis has never been, as much as I love them, they've never been like a out of the box team. Like you kind of know what flavor you're getting with the Colts. It's vanilla ice cream all day long, and we don't really deviate. No sprinkles in here. You know what I mean? And so I think um, you're right that Daniel Jones will have more success with the Colts. I think it's a better fit for Daniel Jones than it is for Anthony Richardson. But Anthony Richardson just wasn't able to prove his talent. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that he failed to do that in the last couple of years that he's been on the team. Mo Alley Cox is really good, so I think having a good rookie underneath him will really help get him breaks to where he can make bigger plays. Uh, Buckner's great on defense, and I think that the defense is better than it's been in a while. So that that gives me a little bit of hope. Cody, you got anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, well, what I do agree with is that this defense is looking pretty solid for the most part. They have that going for them, and I think I agree with Scott in the fact that they're probably not on the same level or par with the Texans, but their defense can at least give Houston's defense run for their money kind of idea. And so now with the offense. Yeah, let me just go right into the quarterback situation. I don't like any of it. I think their quarterback situation just sucks in general.
Yeah.
It's just a dumpster fire of a roster there in the quarterback room. So did they make the right decision? Well, I mean, with what you have, I think that's your only decision is to go with Daniel Jones, and you're going to suck no matter what quarterback. It's my opinion. Now we could see a Sam Darnold situation idea in Minnesota where he just comes in and, or I guess you can say a Daniel Jones in New York that one year he had, where he played really well. Um, but history, just the likelihood of that, just does not show me that he can do that. I'm not sure I trust this offensive line a whole lot. It's not the worst, but I don't think it's the best either. And what we've seen from Daniel Jones is once he gets rushed in, that's when he freaks out. And when Daniel Jones freaks out, that's when the picks happen. That's when the turnovers happen. That's when Daniel Jones become what we know as Daniel Jones. He does have some better receivers, obviously. And in New York, he had only Malik Neighbors really. Here he's got at least Downs, Pierce, and Pittman, and so he does have a little bit more to do. But I just do not trust the ball in his hands. But would I rather have Anthony Richardson out there? Not right now. He needs to mature a lot more. And would I rather have Riley Leonard? He also needs to mature. So did they go with the right decision they have right now? Yes. Is it going to work? Probably not. They probably still going to suck.
Yeah. I mean, Anthony Richardson he completed less than 50% of his passes. Uh, in the NFL, when you're expected to complete 65% or more, completing 50% or under 50%, that's not sustainable in the NFL.
Right, you're signing your own pink slip with those numbers.
Okay. Jacksonville. Okay. This was um, your team to talk about, Cody. If you want to lead off, or if you want me to, either way.
Yeah, no, I'll take a shot at it. So Jacksonville Jaguars have been a little underwhelming as of late, but they've also had some good seasons recently. We got Trevor Lawrence, a quarterback still. Nick Mullins as his running back. Nick Mullins, I would say, is a pretty good, reliable backup. So I think that's a good quarterback room. The running back, they've got. they've got a few. I think Travis Etienne is still the lead back. He had a really down year last year. I would know because he was on my fantasy team. It sucked. And but they got Tank Bixby there. I don't know the other names, so maybe they're rookies. I'm not sure, but they got Tank
They're
Bixby,
both
who
draft picks. Yeah.
okay, that's why I don't recognize them. So Tank Bigsby is kind of like that. I mean, kind of the tank, for the team. He's not huge, but he's good. He's a good back. Travis Etienne's more of the shifty one. The receivers they got Travis Hunter. Got to point him out. Obviously, he's the Heisman winner, second overall pick. And he's also going to be playing a little bit of cornerback for them. I'm not sure like what their percentage that they're going to do right now with him, but they do have him listed there as both. They got Brian Thomas Jr. And a few others there. So got an okay tight end room, offensive lineman. I don't recognize a whole lot of those names honestly. So, but I'm not sure exactly how they've been historically. Eric Armstead is a big one to point out on the defensive lineman or defensive line. And then there's a name below Smith, but I can't see that on my screen, so I'm not sure who that is. Oh, Trayvon Walker. Okay, yeah, definitely have to point him out. Um, and then defense, of course, I gotta shout out my boy Devin Lloyd from Utah. He's hasn't been awesome, but he's been all right there. So overall, I think this team looks like the defensive backs we got Darnell Savage and who else do we have? I don't. There's not a whole lot of other huge names on there that I can see. I think this team, it's just not as impressive to me. No names aren't sticking out as much to me. They've got of course their stars, but they're not like the Texans where practically every position group has a star. And so I don't know what to expect. Trevor Lawrence has been inconsistent. I think he's been really good at times, and he's been kind of questionable, perhaps even disappointing at some other times. So it's just hard to know what to expect from this team. So, and if you have anything else to add, Scott, if I'm missing names that I should know, point it out, please.
I think you hit all the names that I would hit, except linebacker Foye Oluokun as well. Next to Devin Lloyd, they're a really good tackling machine. Um, the big thing, the three big things that I would mention is a brand new coach here, Liam Cohen, coming into the situation. Uh, he he was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator last year, the Rams offensive coordinator before that. He has a track record of getting the best performance out of quarterbacks. He was the one that got Matthew Stafford to play uh, the best football he'd ever played in LA when they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. And then last year, he got Baker Mayfield to throw for almost 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. And so, obviously, his big thing here is to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence, whatever that means. What is the best out of Trevor Lawrence? We've seen some good play from him. We've seen some not good play from him. It really is going to define this season what we can get out of Trevor Lawrence because if he's just the mediocre quarterback we've seen, then I don't think this is a good Jaguars team. However, if we get an elevated performance out of him, I think that there's some pieces here that can really work and elevate this roster. Brian Thomas was a star as a rookie, and he's a really good receiver. Pair him with Travis Hunter, who probably is going to play more wide receiver than he is going to play corner, uh, based on what we've seen so far out of camp. Uh, and so I think pairing those two guys together would be really important if Trevor Lawrence can get it downfield to them. Defensively, I don't see a whole lot. Linebackers are good. That's Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker coming off the edge is a really good 1-2 punch. The secondary is a disaster, and so I think this is so far the worst of the three defenses that we've talked about so far in this division, and offensively, it's a toss up based on what Liam Cohen can do with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that was a good summary. Worst defense in the division so far, middle of the road offense, in my opinion, even if they perform well. I think it's still kind of a middle of the road offense. Um, because the offensive line last year, the way that they weren't really able to protect Trevor Lawrence, and he was able to make such bad decisions trying to scramble and stuff like that. I think that that's going to kind of send them down, even though they have some exciting talent on their team. I don't think that they have the offensive line to protect their main pieces to make it all work together, and I think that we'll see that play out.
I think the only thing I want to add is more of a maybe a question or discussion even. Now you mentioned Liam Cohen, really good quarterbacks coach and just someone who works with quarterbacks really well and with with quarterbacks to prove it as well. That would make me want to hire him as my offensive coordinator, not as my head coach. But he also, I mean, he was at a point where I think promotion was waiting him, and he was going to go that way one way or another. So that kind of makes sense. But how does, as a head coach, when you have a lot more to focus on, uh, how is that really going to help the quarterback if you're really having your quarterback's coach and your offensive coordinator spending more time than the head coach who needs to focus on, as we all know, just a lot more than just a quarterback. So I guess that's my question is up for discussion. How is that really going to translate there?
I don't know. I mean, they basically did hire him as an offensive coordinator. He's going to call his own plays. He's going to do his own things there. Obviously, his attention is going to be in 70 other places at once because he's the head coach and has to focus on the whole team. But I think ownership brings him in because of his track record with quarterback, not necessarily because of. I mean, he doesn't have head coaching experience. He has offensive coordinator experience, and you say, uh, I'm bringing you in as a head coach because I trust your ability to work with quarterbacks and with offenses, and that's what I want to see. Uh, you better hire your own good defensive coordinator because that's what you got to do from that point because I'm hiring you to fix this offense. Uh, and so he oversees the defense too, but I don't know who he's hired as defensive coordinator. We can see Anthony Campanile. I don't know who that is. Oh, fuck.
I don't know.
Okay, moving to the Tennessee Titans, last in this division. Obviously, the first thing you have to talk about is the first overall pick in this last draft, Cam Ward, the only quarterback that really was considered worthy of the first round pick until the Giants showed up back in the first round. But Cam Ward hasn't
Hey,
been playing
hey,
extremely
Scott,
well.
you're really struggling with your audio right now. I'm not sure if Nancy's hearing that too. It's really
Yeah, it's kind of
cutting up.
chippy, like robotic.
Okay, let me get a little closer to the mic. Is that any
Oh,
better?
that's better.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that's
cleaned up
better.
fast.
Okay. Um, yeah, I was saying that the first thing you have to mention is the first overall pick, Cam Ward, who hasn't been playing extremely well in the preseason, but he he's the guy. I mean, you're not starting Brandon Allen, so Cam Ward is the starter, whether you want it to or not. Offensively, you grab Van Jefferson, you grab Tyler Lockett. You're trying to build around um, Cam Ward, make him try to build this offense around your identity here, and that makes sense. Defensively, this was actually a really good defense. They were number two in the NFL in yards allowed last year. Number two. Uh, they were also number 31, second worst in points allowed. That should not happen. That we talked about this in the NFL season review. That is almost impossible to do. The reason it happened was because the offense was so bad that it gave the opposing team very little to go to score because they turned it over in their own territory all the time.
Oh man.
The offense was so bad this year. The defense is good. Um, you have Jeffrey Simmons. up there, Tavondre Sweat. Those are two good defensive linemen. You have Jihad Ward and Arden Key. Those are really good pass rushers. Jalen Harrell, Draymond Jones, uh, back the Eggs, Darius Need, really good quarterback room. I think this defense is really, really solid in Tennessee. I wouldn't call them elite necessarily, but they're very solid. Offensively is where everything has to be made here. Uh, you're going to see progression over the course of the year. He's going to be a rookie. He's going to struggle here and there. But if you see a little bit of improvement and development from Cam Ward, I think don't be shocked. I think this Titans team has a chance to be better than you think.
I mean, I think that you're right. You know, I mean, there's no reason I have to point the other way. I mean, they have definitely built around Cam Ward. I think the question is just to see, can Cam Ward play good enough and shake off those rookie nerves. Um, I think that they're going to have their struggles, especially at offensive position, just because of trying to get into that routine. NFL is a lot different than college, and everyone, it seems everyone learns that usually the hard way. I agree with the defense. You know, when your defense is putting your offense in good position to succeed, I mean that obviously only helps. So I don't expect a bad play um, from them. It could be inconsistent. They may be winning games here and then losing games there. I don't expect them to be vying for the division though.
Yeah, I think that Cam Ward getting thrown to the wolves, so to speak, so early is going to cause a lot of trouble. If you noticed, kind of later in the season in college, he kind of broke down against better defenses when under pressure. He didn't make the best decisions. And I think that there's gonna be a brighter light on those types of situations now that he's in the NFL. And since he's gonna be the starter right away, he's not gonna have that time to kind of learn that stuff that he would otherwise have known before. In times that we've seen where quarterbacks get kind of trained up underneath somebody and they learn a little bit more about the unlikely situations, than you would otherwise. And I think that we'll see pressure situations getting to Cam Ward early and affecting their offensive performance negatively. But they do, if their defense can keep it up, they might be at a better position than I think.
Yeah. Uh, and let me say that again, it would shock me if the Titans were competitive. It would completely shock me if they were competitive if they were competing for a playoff spot. That would shock me. They're not going to be that
Agreed.
good. But, so you can see how I pick this division. Um, I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I, I don't believe in him, and I think he's going to fall on his face this year. Uh, Texans are winning this division. I think the Colts are going to be a little bit better. Uh, I do believe in Daniel Jones with the Colts. I don't think that they're good enough to get a playoff spot, but I think they're good enough to get in second in this division. And then the Titans are good enough to leapfrog the Jags. That's how I am picking that. How about you two?
Yeah, I mean, for me, go ahead and put the Texans at top. You know, they're securing that first place win by several wins, and then can you put the rest of it in number four? Can you just can you just put them all down at the bottom? I don't think any of them will get second or third. They're all just gonna be fourth. Um, I think I'd say put Titans second. Like I said, they're not gonna be vying for that division, I don't think. But compared to the other two teams, I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I would just say if they play well, I could see them getting that second spot. Um, shoot, let's put the Colts third, basically because of that defense, and Jags fourth. So that's probably what I'm going to say.
Nancy, how are you picking this?
Texans, Colts, Jags, Titans.
Okay, and we'll get Dustin's pick next week. Okay, let us stop streaming and talk college football for the next 15 minutes. So, not a whole lot of time to talk about college football, but we'll manage what we can. Um, so let's talk about the four major conferences first of all. Let's just start with the ACC. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time with the ACC because they've kind of been the stepsister of the four um, power conferences. They put one team in the playoff last year. Clemson was all it was, uh, and just the winner. I'm questioning now. Did they get another one?
No, they got
I
SMU.
don't think so. SMU, that's right. SMU was in there too. Yeah. So, um, any thoughts about what the ACC is going to do this year? Is there any changing of the guard, or is Clemson still the team to beat from the ACC?
Well, I would say that the entire college football world appears to be thinking that Clemson has a chance at the national championship. They seem to be thinking that they're going to be monsters, and they're not bad, of course, they're good, but I don't know. For me, it's be thinking that they're going to be, vying for the national championship game. The comparing them to Ohio State and Georgia, and that just seems kind of crazy to me right now. At least in this conference, though, I mean, yeah, they'll be good. I don't know who else is going to stand a chance right now. Maybe we'll have to see what SMU does. Again, they look like they can be pretty good. Georgia Tech was doing pretty well overall. So there's definitely some teams who are going to challenge Clemson, but I think in the end, I think Clemson probably has.
Bringing up all the teams you can see who's in the ACC. Um, yeah, Miami was good last year, but Cam Ward is now playing for the Titans, who we just talked about. Um,
You always have to look out for Florida State to
I
be
see
good
no.
in football.
Last year they were downright awful. They won one game all year last year. Uh,
I'm
yeah,
just saying, they had a
we're,
dynasty. You
we're
always have
awful.
to look out for them.
Who knows? They could turn the corner. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so we're pretty much just saying Clemson and Georgia Tech maybe has a little bit of a chance there.
Louisville,
Possibly
maybe?
SMU.
Maybe SMU. Yeah. Okay. Let's move down to the Big 12. Obviously, there's a lot here to like. Uh, Arizona State was in the playoff last year. Obviously, Cam Scatabo is now playing in New York, so that be eliminates them from competing for a big one this year. But and Colorado lost their quarterback and their wide receiver, and so who knows what they have. Kansas looks like they could be pretty good. Um, Iowa State has already won a game. They just beat they, they won a game earlier uh,
They
this
beat
last
Kansas
weekend,
State.
and then got to call out against Kansas State. Maybe I don't remember if that was who they. Yeah, again the conference. Yeah, Iowa State beat Kansas State. That's right. Um, Yeah, who do you guys want to call out? I will say BYU going with a brand new quarterback, a true freshman starting for the first time ever in BYU history, starting at quarterback there. Jake Retzloff is transferred. I can't even remember to where now,
He
but
went to
honor code
Tulane.
violation. So where? Sorry,
He went to Tulane.
Tulane. That's right. So BYU was good, really good last year. They had a chance for the playoff until they lost two of their final three games. Uh, they were undefeated until that point, and so they're one to keep your eye on if that true freshman can play.
I mean, I was gonna say, based on how Utah played with their true freshman quarterback, I'd say stay away from that if you can. Isaac was terrible, but I mean, I think what Bear Bachmeyer or something. I think is his name, something like that. Wearing
Yep.
number 47, by the way, at quarterback, which is weird. Um, I mean, who knows? He could be great. So I may, this is just, our or my conference as well. So I think this is the funnest conference to watch because it has the most parity. You have no idea what's going to happen, in my opinion. There's probably maybe 6 or 7 teams or maybe even 8 teams that I can realistically say, hey, they might win this. I need to call out Texas Tech. They are crazy right now in the NIL. They have, I think, actually possibly the most NIL money in the entire nation right now, more than Ohio State even. They spent
Wow.
23 million in the offseason um, to get a crazy offensive line, some good players. So they have money. I don't know where it's coming from, but they got a lot of money, and so they're paying for some players there. So that's one thing to look out for. Baylor's supposed to be pretty good this year. I you know I have no idea what to expect from Utah, but obviously I hope that they do great. They got a new mobile quarterback in there, someone who should be pretty good. Got a new offensive coordinator. Defense is always stifling, so we'll see. I want to say they'll be great, but I can't. After the last 2 seasons, who knows what's going to happen? So, um, yeah, I could see a lot of different things, but it's going to be an exciting conference, I think.
Yeah. Anything from you, Yancy?
I think you guys did a good job of covering it.
Okay. By the way, Bear Bachmeyer, you did say his name right. His first name is Bear, and his brother Tiger plays on the team too. So,
Wow. Fun parents, though. I'd party with them.
Yeah.
uh, and he has an older brother who was quarterback for Boise State for a while, and his name is Hank.
I was
Not
gonna say,
Lion?
yeah, I was gonna say lion. Oh my! Come on, guys. What are we even doing this
Yeah.
for?
I know. It's just so disappointing. So go to the Big Ten conference here. Obviously, this is where the Big Ten and the SEC is where you get the meat of the playoff teams. You've got Ohio State, you've got Oregon. Last year you had Indiana. Who knows if they're going to be as good as they were last year? You've got Michigan, who surprised a lot of people and beat Alabama in the bowl game. You've got Penn State. You got a lot of really good teams out of the Big Ten, and so a lot of things to talk about there. Um, where do you guys want to start?
I want to start at Penn State. They are supposed to be electric. Supposed to be. They always lose the big game, right? So if they can win the big game, whatever that is, this year, I guess Ohio State, then they might be my pick to win the whole thing. But the college football world is really, really, really high on them right now. The highest I've ever seen them. I think they're ranked number 2 to start with. I think this year, which might be their highest starting rank. So, um, if James Franklin can pull together the good strategy, good game plans for those big games, they might not have a ceiling.
And everyone's watching this weekend. Ohio State, Texas, number 1 versus number 3. We'll talk about Texas here in a second. It's a potential national championship preview game between those two teams, and the the loser obviously is not eliminated by any means whatsoever. They could both be in the playoff again, but it's still just that measuring stick game to see where those two schools are.
Yeah, really exciting start to the season. I think usually when you get good at stuff, you leave Indiana. At least that's my experience. And so I'm thinking that that's going to be a problem for Indiana this year. We'll see what happens.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They actually did bring some good talent in the from the transfer portal, some 4 and 5 stars. So we'll
Nice.
see.
Yeah. Okay, let's skip the conferences and find our way down to the SEC here. Talk about them. Obviously, you get the other part of the meat of the playoff conversation here. Georgia, Alabama is usually in that conversation, starting over at quarterback as they do every couple of years. Jalen Milroe is now in Seattle, backing up Sam Darnold, but so don't know who. I don't remember who's the quarterback there in Alabama now, but I mean the SEC sends about the NFL draft. Uh, More than half of the NFL draft came out of the SEC and Big Ten, just those two conferences. So that's what happens. Most of the players from last year in this conference are now in the NFL. Just a lot of talk about what we have here between Georgia and Alabama and Texas, obviously. South Carolina was really good last year. Ole Miss has been good every year. Missouri was really good last year. Tennessee was really good last year. Those are all teams that were either in the playoff conversation or in the playoff for a lot of last year. And then you got all these other teams. Vanderbilt was good last year. I mean,
Somehow.
who are we?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know where to start here. So, um, I mean, obviously Georgia, Texas, Alabama will probably be the the main ones in the conference, but I know Florida has had a steady uprising. I think they had 8 wins last year, so if they can get better than that, they might be causing some chaos there. Um, Tennessee lost their quarterback. He went to UCLA, so we'll see what happens
That's
there.
right.
Um,
Is
but
he starting against Utah this week,
sure
Nico?
is. Yep,
Okay.
he is. Um, let's see. I don't know what to expect. I know Mississippi State's gonna suck. Probably Kentucky as well. That's probably the two you could always count on Vanderbilt to suck, but they changed that. So I I think it. I mean, SEC is fun to watch. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
this is the real meat in the stew here, like you guys were saying. This is where all the best players are, so most exciting division to watch. Very hard to pick out who's gonna kind of lead this. I think my early favorites are Texas, Bama, of course, and maybe LSU has a nice year, but they haven't been that great recently.
Yeah. Okay. In the last 5 minutes here, anything you guys want to call out from the other conferences, the group of however many we have? We Boise State just got rocked apparently, so
Yeah.
we don't need to call out them. They don't have Ashton Jetty anymore. He's playing for Las Vegas, so that's what happens when you don't have the guy that was pretty much their whole offense last year. Um,
Yeah.
Notre Dame, always call them out.
Oh, duh, I forgot about Notre Dame. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean Tulane is usually pretty good. Now they got Jake Retzloff. I mean, is that something to point out? Possibly they'll do something there.
Mm, yeah, Tulane here. Um,
East Carolina's had a
yeah,
good defense, but can't put anything together on offense, it seems.
Toledo's always been pretty good, as well as Ohio.
Yep.
Um,
Uh,
so
both both Navy and Army played really well last year. I think Army was even 11-1 or something at the end. So
yeah, so yeah. I mean, we can. Who knows who the two schools will be from the group of five in the playoff? Uh, it's really hard to count that right now, but yeah, it'll be a fun season that's already started again with some games this last Saturday, a couple games tonight, a few games on Saturday, this coming Saturday. Obviously, the big one, Texas and Ohio State. There's a couple of other big ones there, but that's the one that's the highlight one that everyone's going to be watching. Um, Utah
Uh,
UCLA automatically get started. So
yeah, I was gonna say if anyone is still a night owl at all, you can stay up at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. Or 9 p.m. your guys' time to watch the game. It starts at 10 o'clock p.m. my time, so
yeah, BYU plays Portland State this week, so uh, that's not a game. It's just an easy warm up. Um, but and that's the case for most of the schools. In the first week is usually some kind of warm up, um, except for those big ones like Ohio State, Texas. But okay, well, that took us through about a 15-minute college football preview.
Sweet.
And I think we hit on all of the big things. And so good job, everyone, for talking through that. Next week, we'll also be talking all football, but we'll be talking all NFL. We will cover the NFC South and the AFC West, and if we can fit it in, we'll also talk the NFC West. Otherwise, we'll move that to next week or the week after. I mean, will where it'll already be 1 week into the season. But we'll see if we can hit 3 divisions next week or not. If not, it won't be a big deal.
Awesome.
So thanks everyone, and have a good week.
Later, boys.
all right, see ya.